New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring. And hello again, dear ones. Rev Brz with you over here.
Rev Z right here.
And Reverend Jerry Troyer.
And this is New Thought Today here on the New Thought Media Network. We thank you for being with us. Those that are in here, been with us before, know that Reverend LZ and I are here every Tuesday. And this week we are very, very grateful to have with us Reverend Dr. Jerry Troyer. He is the president of the affiliated New Thought Network, as well as the director of relationship development for a nonprofit in San Diego, California, Urban Street Angels. We're going to learn a whole bunch more about those before the day is over. But before then, we just want to say, Dr. Jerry, welcome aboard.
Thank you. Great to be here. Thanks so much for the opportunity.
Absolutely. And, you know, one of the things that we don't do around here is we don't read a bio off of a sheet that might fit on a book jacket or something. We like to get to know people a little bit more. So help us out. Tell the audience, what do we need to know about Reverend Dr. Jerry Troyer to get this conversation started?
Sure. Well, let's see. So I've been a student of New Thought for 30 years, believe it or not. Oh my goodness. Started in San Diego. My husband at the time and I had dear friends that went to this great center and with wonderful people, and their lives worked and our lives didn't. And so they said, you should come to church with us. And we said, yeah, we'll have to do that. Well, you should come to church with us. Yeah, we'll have to do that. So finally we went and really never left. So been at that center. I took over as senior minister for that center for a period of time and have just been in this most amazing teaching and lifestyle ever since. So I'm a staff minister at Home Center for Spiritual Living in La Mesa, which is east of San Diego. I'm president of the affiliated New Thought Network, or ANTON, which is a membership organization of New Thought, religious science, unity, and divine science, churches and centers and organizations, as well as individuals. Let's see, there's that and there's that. And I'm director of relationship development for Urban Street Angels, which is an organization in San Diego that provides temporary housing, employment, education, and healthcare referrals, and most especially hope to homeless 18 to 25-year-olds. We have about 130 youth in our program in San Diego.
Wow.
And I just have this absolutely ridiculously wonderful life.
That is wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, and I I just applaud you and your whole team and staff on working with the homeless youth. I mean, that's such especially now, that's such needed work, because we have a lot of young people who are trying to get their wits about them, if you will, and in that process sometimes they found themselves not in a safe place sometimes. And so to be able to provide them any kind of help and food and guidance and counseling and whatever you guys provide is just outstanding. I applaud you guys for that, for sure.
Thank you. And we target this age group because we believe that this is how you end the cycle of homelessness, is to get them off the streets and into housing and employment at this age. So they've just turned adults, but they may not be really adults because they're still making maybe not some wonderful decisions. So we can get them into the program and help them with that.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Beautiful. Well, we like to kick off most of our shows with that overarching question to set the base tone for the conversation. Reverend Dr. Jerry, and that question is really simply, how do you define spirituality? And we'd love to hear from you on that.
So we, the three of us and everybody listening on that's watching this call and watching later, and everybody everywhere, are body, mind, and spirit. And whether we choose to admit that or not, there is a portion of us that is spirit. And so to me, the spirituality is the conscious awareness of that, recognizing a higher power, whatever we choose to call it, God, spirit, the infinite, the divine, the universe, Maggie, my dog, whatever we choose to call it, that there is that part of us, whether we choose to recognize it or not. And so the opportunity, and of course what we're about, is reminding people of the truth of their being and encouraging them to explore that further.
Yeah, and that's so key, I think, because when we try to define the undescribable or the invisible or the ever-present, it will take many forms and many labels as it presents itself to the person that is offering themselves, if you will, up to that spirit. And so I think that is a great way of looking at it in terms of how do we allow that spiritual part of us, as you said, mental, physical, and spiritual, how do we allow that spiritual part of us to be like a guiding light or a guiding force to keep everything in balance?
And of course, a big part of that also has to do with what we believe about God or our higher power. If we come from, and I was raised in a Missouri Synod Lutheran church, and my God was the hateful, surly, cranky, white, straight old man up on a cloud someplace with his book that's keeping track of my transgressions, that's getting ready to zap me and turn me into a pillar of salt at any minute. And so a big part of I don't like the word challenge, a big part of the opportunity for us as ministers and practitioners and LUTs and others, as well as individuals, is to keep, and I encourage my folks, keep checking in. What do I believe about God? Is God the loving, nurturing presence that Jesus talked about in the New Testament? Or is he that old, white, cranky guy? Because it's done unto us as we believe. And so our lives aren't going to work unless and until we recognize that there is love and acceptance and there, rather than the old judgment.
Yeah, and that's a perfect lead-in to our other question here, in that how can spirituality help people overcome these challenges or take advantage of these opportunities, as you say, when we're faced with life as it is?
To me, the first thing is to question. So what's going on here? What do I believe about this? What belief do I have? Again, going back to, and we in New Thought admittedly don't like to talk about the Bible and the words of Jesus. But the foundation for this teaching, whether we want to admit it or not, is it's done unto you as you believe. And remember, in the 6 or 7 examples of people being healed in the New Testament, Jesus ends the conversation, at least according to the Bible, with "Your faith has made you whole." Not my faith, not because you ate your vegetables, but your faith has made you whole. So what do I believe about this experience and about my life and about my physical health and about my money and about my deservedness? And what can I change about myself in order to receive whatever that is?
Yeah. And I had to write that down. that your faith has made you whole, because we are living in a society where all of the things point to somebody doing something for you, or pointing something out to you, or leading you someplace, where those things are definitely needed. But out of all of those guideposts, if you will, you have to do something, and that doing something has to be predicated on what you believe you can do. Do you have the wherewithal, and do you believe the thing works, that the faith in the thing, whatever the thing is? And I think now our environment has made us so skeptical that faith is a fleeting thing if we don't cultivate it.
So that's why, and I don't know how it was for you and for our folks, but for me in first year class, we did parking places. So I'm going to the mall and I need a parking place. So I'm going to do my affirmative prayer, my spiritual mind treatment, and I'm going to absolutely know that parking place is there for me. And what do you know? There's a parking place there for me. And if I want the exercise, it's way in the back. If I'm in a hurry or don't want to walk, it's there in the front for me. Well, it works, because the reason we call this science of mind is because it works for everybody the same way all the time. So if it works for parking places, it works for money, it works for jobs, it works for relationships, it works for every area of our lives. So okay, God, okay, it works for this. Of Course in Miracles says there's no degree of difficulty in miracles. So it works for parking places, but does it work for something bigger and something bigger? Yes, it does. But it's done unto us as we believe. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yes, thank you. And this all for me feels like knowing a little bit of you, your history and your work and the things you've been doing. At least I've been aware of you for a few years now and such. We've been running in the same circles. It feels like Urban Street Angels is in many ways an outpicturing of your ministry and this New Thought philosophy, because and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is exactly what you're doing with these kids in Urban Street Angels, giving them space to be able to recognize that the challenges might be opportunities and that they do have a power to change their lives. So tell us a little bit more about Urban Street Angels and the good work that's happening there.
Absolutely. Thank you. So we started 11 years ago. Our founder, Eric Lovett, was senior minister for a Disciples of Christ church in central San Diego. I was senior minister for my independent religious science church. And so their outreach at their church was to take sack lunches to homeless people in Ocean Beach, which is one of the beach areas in San Diego. And Eric Lovett is our founder, and he was talking with one of the youth that he gave food to, and the young man said, "Hey, I really appreciate the food, but what I really need is a place to sleep." So, at that time, Eric was working to separate the work or the ministry to the homeless, separate it from the church and make it its own 501c3 nonprofit organization. So at the time, as divine timing or whatever you want to call it, coincidence or whatever would have it, my congregation was looking for an organization to support. And so we found Urban Street Angels as it was being created. And so I got to know Eric, became fast friends. He asked me to come on as a founding board member. So I've been around ever since. So we started with the food and the couch surfing. So offering three beds or 3 couches to youth that needed a place tonight, and immediately found that there was a much greater need than that in San Diego. And so these are homeless 18 to 25-year-olds in San Diego. So we rented a larger house, and then we rented a larger house, and then we rented a larger house. And here we are 11 years later with about 130 youth in total in downtown San Diego, as well as in a facility in East San Diego County. But we have the opportunity to take to talk with, and one of the things I love so much about my job is I have the opportunity to talk with the youth about what's going on and plant the seeds of maybe there's another way to look at this. Well, I had a lousy day at work. My boss is making me crazy, so on and so on and so on. So let's talk about that. And why are they making you crazy? And is there another way to look at this? So really, really sharing New Thought principles with kind of sneaking them in the back door, as it were, but beginning to think about the possibility of maybe I could look at this in a different way.
Right.
And then ideally over time, as this happens more and more, they begin to think about possibility and about positivity rather than the negative and being stuck in their old story.
You know, and it's amazing, Doc, that you didn't tell me you were psychic, because you already answered the question I was just getting ready to ask, which is, you know, how can spirituality be inclusive of people from different backgrounds and belief? And I'm sure when you're working with the youth on the street, they are from a variety of everything, backgrounds, ethnicities, cultures, race, you know, everything. So and as you just said, you know, and I'd like to hear a little bit more of how you implement or how you offer up some of these nuggets from metaphysics and New Thought to help them reframe things or see things differently.
But a big and thank you for that. But a big part of this is to meet them where they are. And
yes.
I believe in the grand scheme of thing, and in our centers and churches, it's so important for us to meet our people where they are. So rather than trying to beat them up with the Science of Mind textbook, we listen to what they're saying and talk about, so why is this? What belief do you have about this? And is there another way to look at this? Because these youth many of them age out of foster care. So they turn 18 and for whatever reason, they're not able to stay with the foster care family. So they wind up unhoused. They were in a situation at home where there was no safe home to stay in, and they were being abused physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, for whatever reason. They didn't feel comfortable staying at home. They came out as gay or lesbian or trans, and the family rejected them. And so they wind up on the streets. And so many of them come from some sort of traumatic situation that has the potential to keep them stuck in that same lifestyle or to change the story. So a lot of it has to do with just them, us as staff members, and all of the youth in our program are assigned a case manager and peer-to-peer support. So we listen. So I want you to know that I hear you and that you feel heard. So, and then we encourage them to talk more, and then over time be able to reframe that story and turn it from something that was traumatic and awful into something more positive.
Right.
Beautiful. Cool. Yeah. And, you know, what I keep hearing in this conversation is it's incredibly important to support these kids in recognizing they're heard, they're honored, and they're safe.
Yes.
And to me, right, one of the other questions we like to ask a lot of guests is, how can we use this philosophy to help people find meaning and purpose in their life? And what I'm gathering from here is Urban Street Angels is absolutely taking on those first steps of creating the safety, creating the sense of being heard, the sense of belonging. And then we've got to take it that next step as well, I believe, and help people to find that sense of meaning and belonging in their life. Having a little bit of experience, my parents did some foster care work in North Carolina many years ago, and witnessing their journey, like you said, age 18, and somebody might age out of their their care, of the place where they feel safe, the place where they feel heard and belonging. Now they're out in the big world, as it were, out in the world with everybody else. How is Urban Street Angels able to help these kids with that meaning and purpose aspect of it all?
So when you come into one of our programs, you have a couple of days to kind of get your bearings and hang out and do your laundry if you need to and get ready to begin to start. But then you're going to be looking for a job or working in one of our programs or going to school or doing something to begin to prepare for the next chapter of your life. And so the youth in our programs are all assigned case managers and peer-to-peer support people, and that conversation goes on. So how was your day? What's going on? What do you like about it, about school or about work? And what are you thinking about what's next for you? And we work with a lot of job training programs. We just opened a bistro next door to our downtown facility called Timmy's Place, where they employ about 15 youth so far and will ultimately about 50 a year. And they do pizza and salads and desserts and breakfast and so forth. And so many of the youth are learning how to do customer service and how to make change and how to make really good Mexican pizza and just all of these things. And so the job training and the sense of accomplishment. And at the end of the day, I went to work and I did this. And oh, by the way, I got a paycheck, because one of the other things we want to do is provide them the life skills training that they need to move on to their next experience. And so we do smart money workshops from time to time about setting goals, about budgeting, about about balancing your checkbook if you still do a checkbook, but I mean being aware of money and how to use it and how to save it. So we want to prepare them for whatever's next in their lives.
Yeah, and I think that's so key, because and that's probably for all youth, those last few things, because if you can't feel some semblance of control in your life, then everything tends to be an overcoming moment, right?
Right. Yeah.
And it creates, and it creates that thing.
Yeah, if I don't have control, if there's nothing I can do about this, then that means I have no hope, and I can just go and sit in the corner. So that's big. And then if I can jump to another subject, but this same topic on finding purpose. So my story really. So we didn't talk about this before, but my first book, Coming Out to Ourselves, Admitting, Accepting, and Embracing Who We Truly Are, was published in 2014. And in 2018, my husband, we had been together for 33 years, and my husband died in the airport in Houston on the way home from an Anton conference.
Oh, wow.
And so I went through, and we'll talk about this a little later on, but I went through a lot of not being able to feel my grief and my loss and all the rest of that because of those old teachings about, everything is as it should be, everything's in divine order. And now we call that toxic positivity and spiritual bypass. But the point of the story is so you've had a major trauma in your life. How do you turn the page and find purpose in the next chapter of your life? And so the second book, which is about 80% done, is on finding purpose in life after trauma or life after a certain age. And we have to do that. And so we're working where all the youth in our program are involved in psychological, psychiatric or psychology visits and sharing and journaling and all of those things to help them, because I think it's a safe assumption. If you were on the streets or couch surfing, there's some trauma in your life that has brought you to this point, and how important it is to recognize that and be able to process it through.
Beautifully. Well said. Thank you. And you hit on another really important topic that I think we would be remiss if we didn't explore at least a little bit here this afternoon. And that's the term spiritual bypassing. And I don't want to imagine what it's like to lose an intimate partner. I'm not quite there at that point yet where I've lost a major family member or they've made a transition, but I know that experience for many people is the place where it's easy to do a spiritual bypass. It may be even easier than dealing with your actual experience. And we have plenty of people, it seems, that are more than happy to give you an excuse to bypass what you're experiencing through the use of these principles. Tell us a little bit about what that journey was like for you, and how you were able to, let's say, avoid that spiritual bypass.
And thank you for that. So he had been diagnosed with colorectal cancer. He had been going through chemo for about 1.5 years. The chemo was doing great things to the tumors, but terrible things to the rest of his physical body. And so he was very weak, but I had to attend the conference and he felt like he wanted to go as well. And so he was in a wheelchair. We flew to Kansas City, excuse me, Tuesday night of the week. He fell trying to get to the washroom. And so the Wednesday morning we left early and flew home and made it on the connection to Houston. And then I left him to go check on our seat assignments. And when I came back, he was unresponsive. So went back to the desk. They called the paramedics. They came. They were able to resuscitate him. And then so they could transport him. But on the way to the hospital, his heart stopped again, and they weren't able to resuscitate him. And so he died at Memorial Hermann in Houston. So next day, I've left the body in Houston. Next day, got home with 4 suitcases instead of 2, because of course I had his stuff as well as mine. Sat down in the empty house and started to grieve. And my ego said, no, you are a religious science minister. Everything is in divine order. Everything is as it should be. It's all good. He's in a better place, and all of those things that we try to tell ourselves and others sometimes when we have a heartbreaking situation. And so I really went through about 1 year of fighting with myself about allowing myself to love and nurture myself enough to feel the grief and feel the loss, to the point that I've created a workshop, and I've had the opportunity to do it in many unity and religious science centers and churches around the country. And people, it's so amazing because, well, first of all, as a minister, if I don't make you cry, then I'm not doing my job. So we get to do that, which is wonderful. But also, we in this teaching don't allow ourselves to feel this. And how important it is for us to feel the grief and the loss about a death. And of course, in this culture, we can't even say death. They've gone to a better place, or they made their transition, or they've passed on, or whatever. So have to allow ourselves to feel this. But so it's death, but it's divorce. It's the time we lost during COVID. It's a job change. It's just, the change in a relationship, just all of these things that bring those feelings of grief and loss into our lives, and how important it is for us to treat our people, whoever they are, wherever you are in your ministry, because I believe everybody has one, to treat our people with love and compassion and allow them to feel what they feel, rather than trying to tamp it down and say, it's all good.
Well, and I was going to say, you gave me a new term. Go ahead, finish up.
So spiritual bypass and toxic positivity. are the terms for this. And I just had to laugh. I was guest speaking at a center somewhere back east, and so I've got my topic and I'm good to go, and I'm doing the workshop afterwards, and I'm talking about all of this. And the song before my talk was "Don't Worry, Be Happy," and I'm like, "You gotta be kidding me, right?"
Yes, and you know, again, the connection is there, because that's the point that I wanted to bring up, is this idea of toxic positivity, and I'm gonna borrow that from you if you don't mind, because
Yes, yep,
I
absolutely.
think often enough people, you know, whether it's conscious or unconscious at this point, they when they're going through stuff, they try to, you know, put sugar on it and
Yes.
make it sweet, and you know, as they say, you know, you put sugar on cornbread, it's still cornbread. I could use another metaphor, but I won't.
Slight adjustment in that expression. Yep, that's just fine. Yep.
And we need to be able to take things as they are,
and recognize that it does not go away. So I've got this grief, I've got this heartbreak about whatever it was, and then if we don't allow ourselves to feel it, it comes back to us in surprising and wonderful ways, like road rage, like inappropriate behavior. You know, I was saving the other half of that pizza for tomorrow. Who ate it? Well, I did. Or the pint of Ben and Jerry's, or I was saving that money for a vacation and I just went out and spent it, or whatever the case might be. But one of my favorite authors, Debbie Ford, wrote, "What we can't be with won't let us be." So we have to allow ourselves to be with that grief and that loss and that anger and all the rest of that, and feel it so we can heal it. So that's a big part of my ministry as well, and with our youth as well. You wound up on the street. Your foster family kicked you out. Your birth mother couldn't take care of you. You know, just whatever it is, but allow ourselves to feel it again. Feel it so we can heal it. Yeah.
Beautiful.
I just stole another one. Just telling you, I'm just you just got my pen writing over here.
Diego, Brother Z is writing his Sunday sermon as we speak.
Please, yes, feel free. Yeah.
So, folks, we're going to give him a moment to write down those notes, and also to let some of our sponsors let you know a little bit more about what our sponsors are doing and what we're doing around this movement. However, we are here today speaking with Reverend Dr. Jerry Troyer, and we've got a whole lot more coming your way. Please stay with us. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, whatever button you like. Just make sure it's pointing up, not down. And we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more of New Thought Today. Stay tuned.
I let love in. I feel the beat that's calling, calling, calling us to rise, rise, spirit rise up, rise in me. I ready my soul, I clear my mind. I'm here and now, in present time. I feel the power of 1,000 suns lighting up the dark. Oh, we rise as one. Oh, rise, rise. Spirit rise up, rise in me. Oh, rise,
yes, folks. Rise up with us, New Thought Media Network and the Las Vegas Center for Spiritual Living this coming Sunday, 6:30 Pacific time. You can catch it live stream on our YouTube page, or if you're in the Las Vegas area, join us in person. It's going to be a hootenanny of a good time on a Sunday evening there in Las Vegas. So plan to join us for that if you're able. If you need more information, send an email, info@ntmedia.org, or visit the Las Vegas CSL.org as well. All right, we're back with more of New Thought today. Our guest today is Reverend Dr. Jerry Troyer. He is the president of the affiliated New Thought Network and director of relationship development for Urban Street Angels. And Dr. Jerry, I'd love to talk a bit more about ANTN. For those not in the know, ANTN is an organization of centers and organizations affiliated with New Thought philosophy, as well as individuals. I've gotten to know you a little bit through that organization. New Thought Media Network is a member of ANTN as well, and so from that capacity, as president, you get an opportunity to connect with a lot of the leaders from a lot of the other New Thought organizations at a pretty high level. And so our question for you is, what direction do you see the New Thought movement taking in the future, and as we move together as a collection of organizations, let's say, rather than just individuals?
You remember, Reverend Robert, you remember last year, the leaders from all the major New Thought organizations met at the INTA, International New Thought Alliance Congress in Chicago, and had a panel discussion about the similarities and differences, which was pretty amazing. And I got to say, I'm rubbing elbows with Edward Viljoen from CSL and Shad and Jim Blake from Unity and Reverend Sheila from UFBL, and it was absolutely amazing. And my takeaway, which I already knew, but it just reinforced the fact that we really do all believe the same thing. There's a little bit of flavor here or flavor there, a little bit different. But the bottom line is we are all one, and we are basically singing out of the same hymn book, as it were. So that was it's been my great honor and privilege to serve as president for the last several years of ANTN. And that was such a great opportunity. So we're independent religious science, we're CSL, we're Unity, we're divine science, we're I think that got everybody, but just UFBL. So just all of the different organizations coming together, and we do a retreat, an in-person retreat every year. This is the first week of October this year. Again, we've been at Unity Village outside of Kansas City for the last several years, and we're there again this year. It's just an extraordinary event, and the folks at Unity Village every year could not be more welcoming and inclusive and gracious for us. So it's an extraordinary experience to come in and learn and grow and rest and frolic and be reminded of the truth of our oneness. It's just so wonderful.
Yes, love it. You look like you have a question there.
No. I was just, I was looking at my calendar because I haven't been to an event, but I'm going to try to make it. I'm trying to figure out what my timing look like, because I think one of the, there's the saying, many hands make light work, right? And so if we have all of these individuals and organizations that are striving to allow people to develop, as you said, right where they are in their own time, but with the tools and the examples and whatever it is that they need for them to break through without doing bypass, we're going to end up with a whole lot of individuals and additional organizations that are going to be cornerstones of a new world, if you will, or a new society, or a new way of operating within the society that allows people, the judgments start dropping and the comparisons start dropping, and people begin to grow like orchids don't grow the same way roses do. But I love both orchids and roses, and I don't condemn
Right.
one for the other.
Yes. Yeah. So October 2nd to the 6th at Unity Village. If you've not been to Unity Village, it is the most amazing and beautiful and spiritual experience. And so I just invite everybody to find out more about that. Jeffon Seeley, Lisa Benson, Nemo Patel, and James Mellon are our keynotes, and Daniel Namod is our music director. So it's going to be just an extraordinary week. Lodging either at Unity Village or a Holiday Inn Express about a quarter of a mile away. So that's easy. Food and all the sessions are included in your registration. And the food is amazing and beyond. So we are well fed physically, emotionally, spiritually, and everything else. There's an early bird discount for registration until July 31st.
Beautiful. And I want to say that this is going to be my third retreat with Anton. And New Thought Media Network is blessed. We're going to be doing video broadcasts and supporting the production team and the in-house video production and all those different things. So we're going to be there, and New Thought Media Network will be there in full force, folks. So if you want to come hang out with those of us from the network, Z's keeps saying, he's thinking of going to a conference. We all know he's going with us to Unity Village this year.
Do this. Yes.
And we're going to have plenty of people there, because that's what, to me, what Anton is doing is representing and demonstrating what happens when we bring all these different groups together. Yeah. And again, and recognize our oneness and demonstrate and live our oneness. And I think one of the things for me, well, I'm going to say this, getting to walk the labyrinth, the brand new Unity Labyrinth last year at night before anybody else, before it was open to the public, before anybody else could walk. Oh, did I say that out loud? That was in itself a transformational experience. But really, what I love about Anton is you really are the people that say yes. And as an organization, Anton has said yes to New Thought Media Network in a number of ways. I'm very happy. I'm going to announce right here and now, although we didn't plan this ahead of time, but Anton is one of our gold level premier sponsors of an upcoming documentary that New Thought Media Network is going to produce around New Thought's involvement with the Parliament of World Religions, which is happening in Chicago in August. And I know we're going to be together there, Dr. Jerry, right. But I'm just going to say it publicly on behalf of this ministry and network. We want to thank you guys for believing in what we're doing and signing on as one of the sponsors to make this project happen. I'm really looking forward to connecting with you at the Parliament and also at the conference in October. So it could be a fun
Thank
summer.
you, and you as well. And we are honored and thrilled to have the opportunity to support you in this way. And let me just say, so we used to be one of the better kept secrets, and the good news is slowly but surely we're growing and expanding. But we've been around for 31 years, 30th year last year, but 31 years, and again across all the different flavors, if you will, of New Thought. And we are now international. Thank you very much, because we have members in the United States, Canada, and in Austria or Switzerland? I think Austria. So we are an international organization, which is kind of exciting. Yes.
But we do have Switzerland, because I'm pretty sure my dear friend, our dear friend Fiona Strafford, I think she joined as an individual member from Switzerland. Yes.
Switzerland. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. So, which is just so incredibly exciting, and we're so grateful to her. So it's an awesome organization, and I like to refer to, we call it a retreat, but it really does feel like a family reunion. These are amazing people, and Reverend Z, I know you'll absolutely love it when you come. I believe in speaking in the affirmative, so you will absolutely love it. It's and again, Unity Village is just amazing and beyond.
Yes.
Yeah,
So, folks, we dropped a link in the chat box for you. That should be a live link if you're watching. And even on a replay, it should be there as a live link for you. It'll take you over to this page. The focus is Emergence, Spirit in Bloom. This page here will give you all the various details. And there's everything from you can come just for the banquet, you can come for a day, you can come for the whole thing. You can do there's a virtual access and a virtual opportunity where you can sign up to just experience the virtual side of what this is. And I'm going to tell you right here and right now, it's if you didn't catch it, folks, Dr. Jerry said two names that are really important: Nemo Patel and Daniel Nahmad. So Nemo is doing a keynote, but if you know anything about Daniel Nahmad in the last 5 or 10 years now, you know that his partnership with Nemo Patel is prolific. So it's not often these two men are in the same place at the same time. And to know that they're going to be at this conference together, I'm going to just tell you now, the music's going to be off the hook. And you want to be there. All the other stuff is going to be great. The fellowship, the community, the food there, by the way, is always very, very good. And Nemo and Daniel in the same place. You guys really did your homework getting the two of them together this year.
I'm so excited. Yes. Yeah. Very cool. So may I talk just a little more about Anton?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Please.
Oh, cool. Thank you. So we are a membership organization. And if you go to antn.org, there's information about the retreat, about membership, all of those things. So we, in addition to the annual on-site retreat, we also do a monthly Thought Leader Thursday Zoom call on the last Thursday of each month at 9 a.m. Pacific time, where we interview speakers and authors and key members of the New Thought community. So that's the last Thursday of each month at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Open to everyone. You don't have to be a member. We do other special events throughout the year. And one of the things we did last year, or actually over the last 2 years or so, is Anton published a book. So this is about 150 meditations and reflections. The title is New Thoughts for Today, Contemplations for a Rapidly Changing World. And all of these were written by our members. So there are lots and lots of benefits for being a member. You can be in the next book, which ideally will be out before the retreat in 2024. As you can be in the book, so you can be a published author if you aren't already. There's a discount for the retreat if you're a member, and just lots of other wonderful. You can post information about your book. If you've written a book, you can post that on our website as well if you're a member. So lots of really cool benefits for being a member of Anton.
Wow. All right. Yeah. Did y'all plan this double team, beat me up so I can get there kind of thing? I don't know. That's what it sounds like.
All right, Z, I'll make it even one better for you. New Thought Media Network is already contracted to, we'll be staying at one of the bed and breakfasts on one of the Airbnbs on property.
Oh, beautiful.
So
Nice.
you know, it's not like I do believe Unity Village, the main lodging might be sold out or very, very close. If it's not, get a room now. But Z, we'll put you up. We'll even give you a place to stay. How's that?
What's not to like, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
All right.
All
right. Okay. All right. I'm against the ropes.
Put your vacation slip in now.
Well, I think one of the things, yes, and one of the things I witnessed as you were showing the website, was the diversity that this opportunity of Anson brings, because it's bringing together different organizations that have different diverse makeups in terms of race, ethnicity, gender, and all of that. And
Right.
you know, one of our questions is, you know, outside of UFBL, they are very few people of color in the broader spectrum, and to see that and to have that commingling, if you will, and the ability to exchange ideas and create an umbrella that's big and open is great.
Yes, and that's so important to us. So race, sexual orientation, religious background, and I have a couple of friends that go to, and we know this teaching fits in with so many other more traditional beliefs. So I have a couple of friends that go to Catholic Mass and then come and hear me speak, which is just awesome. So
Yeah.
so absolutely. Yeah. So we are the top of the list for us is that not being tolerant, not being accepting, but being welcoming and inclusive. You know, you tolerate the rock in your shoe. I don't want to be tolerated. I want to be welcomed and included.
You know, and you know, for the longest I heard, you know, New Thought was the best kept secret. Well, we don't want it to be a secret anymore. We want it to be on Front Street. We want everybody to know that you can, you know, as Ernest would say, there's a power in the universe that will use and change for good, and you can use it.
That you've been reading in your Bible in the words of Jesus ever since you were a little kid. Yes, this is not, and let me just get out my soapbox really quickly. How important it is for us to, when we're talking with other people, to recognize that this is not some airy-fairy. I had a dear friend that was one of my ministers when we first found this teaching that would use the term airy-fairy. This is not some airy-fairy out there teaching that only the most intelligent of the most intelligent get. This is what Jesus, again, this is what Jesus talked about, that is available to you and open to you. And oh, by the way, you're using it right now, whether you recognize it or not.
Yeah.
Right? Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. So to me, that's the, again, I don't like the word challenge. That's the opportunity for us to continue to grow this movement, to grow this teaching by allowing people to recognize, well, I've been doing this all along and my life hasn't worked. What if I change my thinking and change my life into something that does work?
Yeah.
There you go, here, folks. You heard it here first. Change your thinking, change your life.
Yeah,
right. But,
write that down if you need to. Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. So we're going to take another quick break, folks, to let a couple more sponsors say hello before we run out of time here today. However, we're not done yet. We're coming back with final thoughts. Before that, help us say thank you and hello to a few of our sponsors and some of the stuff going on here around New Thought Media Network. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Come on, everybody, sing with me. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. If you believe in you and me, sing yes, yes, yes. Do you believe like I believe we can make a better world? Listening to each other till every voice is heard. Singing yes, 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 yes. What makes you make if we found a way to end all poverty? So all could live with dignity from sea to shining sea. Oh, please say yes. Come on, everybody, sing with me. Yes, yes, yes.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors and donors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown Atlanta, New Thought Philadelphia. and Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Spiritual Center, Kitchener, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Center for Spiritual Living, North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, Center for Spiritual Living, Seattle, and all of our individual donors and sponsors. Thank you for being a part of the New Thought Media Network. Please come be you. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you to everyone that's making this network possible, that's supporting us and taking this mighty, powerful message out into the world. We want to thank you. If you'd like to become a part of our committed giving campaign, please head on over to the website ntmedia.org/donate. Make your contribution a monthly one, and we'll add you to the next version of our thank you video. All right. So here we are. We've reached that place. Now, we have a tradition. It's called Final Thoughts. Normally, I let Reverend Elzia go first, and I get stuck wondering what to say at the end. So this week, we're going to turn that around, and I'm going to go first and let Dr. Jerry go after that, and give our final thoughts on this conversation. And, you know, what I heard today is so incredibly powerful, because I want to thank you, Dr. Jerry, for doing the work you're doing in both the non-religious nonprofit world through Urban Street Angels, right? It's, if you ask me, it's a church without a name on the front of it, and what we know is church often drives people away anymore. So it's doing great work, and then you're doing that same work at the organizational level on behalf of the New Thought philosophy. And we didn't even get a chance to talk about your local work with the Om Center for Spiritual Living. We know you're influential and doing great work there. So my final thought is kind of that big, huge thank you for blending the secular and the spiritual in the work that you're doing and the presence that you're being on the planet. I'm personally honored to know you.
Thank you so much. Truly, truly my pleasure. And thank you, boys, both so much for the opportunity to be with you today and to talk about what we're doing in the world. Yeah.
And I think, you know, it's been an honor for me to again, as you said earlier, Doc, that to have these confirmational moments and conversations about the truth of the universe, that truth is unchangeable. And when we find the different modalities to which that truth can be realized and expressed, that makes all the difference in the world.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we're going to get out of here for today. We want to thank you for being with us again. Thank you to Reverend Dr. Jerry Troyer for being with us. Be sure to join us next week when Reverend Savannah Noel, dear friend and longtime collaborator, will be with us here on this program. And of course, please stay tuned for all the amazing program here on New Thought Media Network. We finish up later this evening, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, with some Spanish language programming, and then our evening prayers at 8:15. Until next time, we want to wish you peace and richest blessings. Thanks for watching. Bye now.